Jack Morrow stood on the observation deck of the research cruiser, staring at the drifting warship. It floated silently, half hidden in the shadow of a dead star. The light from the dying sun barely reached it, casting long, twisted shapes across its metal surface. The ship looked old, battered, and uneven, almost like someone had stitched it together from pieces of junk. Yet it was enormous, larger than any vessel Jack had ever seen in this part of space. "It doesn't even look like it could fly," said Rin, a tall alien with shimmering blue skin, leaning over the rail beside him. She tilted her head, studying the angles of the ship. Why would anyone waste metal on that? Jack didn't answer right away. He knew the truth was probably stranger than anyone imagined. The design, crude as it seemed, was deliberate. Humans like to make things simple, strong, and hard to break. The alien researchers, however, didn't understand that. They only saw the irregular plating, the strange bulges along the hull, and the smoke-blackened edges from long-past battles. They laughed quietly among themselves, calling it a museum junker. "Maybe it's just a drift," one of the aliens said, pointing at the ship. "An old war relic from some primitive species." Jack frowned. He didn't like the word primitive. Humans had fought wars that stretched across entire systems, facing odds no other species could survive. Maybe this ship was old, but it was far from weak. The thought made his stomach tighten. The research cruiser slowed as it approached the ancient vessel. The aliens on board took readings and measurements. Every sensor screamed that the ship was useless. There was no energy signature, no life support showing activity, and no weapons firing. Yet Jack felt a pulse inside the hull, something almost alive. He could not explain it. Humans had a habit of leaving their strength hidden, and maybe this was one of those cases. The mission was simple: board the ship, catalog what they found, and leave. The aliens had no interest in human ships. They assumed the humans were long gone. Only Jack and two other humans were on the team, assigned as liaisons to explain any markings or technology. One of them, Lisa Carter, was an engineer. She was younger than Jack and full of curiosity. She already had her tools ready, scanning equipment and portable analyzers strapped to her belt. "This is strange," Lisa said, pointing to a series of strange symbols near the entrance. The markings looked scratched into the metal, rough and uneven. "They're not alien, that's for sure, but they're consistent, like a language." Jack nodded. He had seen these before in old human archives. "Those are tactical markers," he said quietly. "They show positions, firing angles, escape routes. Humans used to make these for boarding parties. It's like a map for war carved right into the ship." The aliens ignored him, muttering among themselves. They thought the ship was a curiosity at best, a relic to amuse their history professors. No one saw it as a threat. Jack clenched his fists. He wanted to scream that this was dangerous, that humans had a history of making their ships almost impossible to kill. But no one would listen. The aliens' laughter was thick, echoing across the observation deck. They suited up and prepared to board. The airlock opened with a hiss, and the research team floated inside the ancient ship. The interior was dark and cold. Jack's eyes adjusted quickly, scanning the long corridor ahead. It smelled of burned circuits and old metal. The walls were lined with panels, many cracked or scorched, yet everything seemed purposeful. Nothing was random. "It looks abandoned," said Karn, one of the alien engineers, stepping carefully along the floor. "No crew, no systems, nothing." Jack shook his head slowly. "That's what they want you to think," he said. He reached out to touch a console. It was cold, dead to the touch, yet he felt a vibration, faint but real. It was like the ship was breathing under his fingers. Lisa moved beside him, her flashlight scanning the panels. "It's built for war," she said, her voice low. "Everything is redundant. Look at these doors, see how they lock in multiple ways. This ship was built to keep people inside alive, even if the power fails. It's insane, but brilliant." The aliens looked at her blankly. They didn't understand the point. Redundancy, durability, clever design, these were human traits. Alien ships were sleek, fast, and beautiful. Humans made things to survive, to outlast. That was what scared other species. Jack and Lisa moved further inside. The corridors twisted, turning unexpectedly, as if to confuse anyone unfamiliar with the layout. There were signs of battle everywhere: scorched metal, dented walls, and a strange black residue that smelled of chemical fire. It told a story of a fight long ago, fought by humans against enemies far stronger and more numerous. "It's almost like they expected to lose," Lisa said softly. "And still, they built the ship to win." Jack nodded. He felt a chill run down his spine. Humans were clever, stubborn, and unyielding. They had fought wars on planets, in space, and against species far superior in number and strength. This ship carried that legacy. They reached the bridge. It was massive, filled with cracked monitors and broken seats. The main console hung at an angle, wires dangling from it. Alien eyes widened at the sight, whispering to one another. "This is old," they said. "Primitive, useless." Jack stepped forward and tapped the console. Lights flickered across the panel. It was a tiny spark, almost nothing, but it was alive. Lisa's eyes widened. She knelt to inspect a panel with tools, pulling out small cables and connecting them carefully. A faint hum filled the room. "Look at this," she said. "It's not dead, just sleeping." The aliens stared in disbelief. They had assumed the ship could not function, that it was a museum piece. Jack and Lisa exchanged a glance. They both knew that the human touch could bring life to these machines. Humans built for endurance, for survival, and sometimes for revenge. The aliens had no concept of patience, of hidden strength, of waiting to strike when the odds were impossible. Jack moved through the bridge, examining old log files. The computer was rudimentary, designed to operate without a crew for long periods. He tapped into the memory cores and pulled fragments of old mission reports. Names of humans appeared: officers, engineers, pilots, long gone, but the records showed the ship's path through battles that had decimated entire fleets. "They weren't just fighting," Jack said quietly. "They were surviving. Every step of the way they made sure the ship would outlast them if they didn't." The aliens didn't understand. Karn shook his head. "This is just old technology," he said. "It's barely functional. It couldn't hurt anyone now." Jack smiled faintly. He knew the truth. Humans had a way of making things last. A ship built by humans could seem weak, even laughable, and still destroy a modern fleet if it wanted to. The aliens' confidence irritated him. They had no idea what they were staring at. Lisa pulled up a section of the deck plans. "Look at the walls," she said. "Every hallway, every chamber has traps, backup systems, hidden weapons. It's terrifying." The aliens shuffled uncomfortably. They had thought this mission would be simple: catalog, laugh a little, go home. They had no idea that this ship, mocked and ridiculed, was a piece of war engineering designed by a species that refused to die quietly. Jack turned to face them. "Don't underestimate it," he said firmly. "Humans survive. They build things to survive. Even now, after centuries, this ship can still fight. You think it's dead, but it's not. It's waiting." The alien officer leading the team scowled. "Waiting for what?" he asked. Jack's eyes narrowed. "Waiting for the right moment to prove that humans are not weak." There was silence. The aliens looked around, uneasy. Even the smallest sensors started to pick up faint energy fluctuations from the ship. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it was there. The ship was alive in a way they could not comprehend. Lisa stepped closer to Jack. "This isn't just a ship," she whispered. "It's a message, a warning. Humans built this to fight back, to survive, to show that we're here, even if we're gone." Jack nodded. He could feel it in his bones. The old ship had a presence, a determination. It had seen war, it had suffered, and it had learned. The aliens had laughed at it, but that laughter was about to turn to fear. The team spent hours cataloging the interior, finding broken weapons, scorched walls, and dormant systems. Every discovery told the same story. Humans had fought, humans had endured, and humans had left behind more than just a warship. They had left a legacy. As night fell across the dead star, the research cruiser prepared to leave. The aliens were relieved. They had found nothing dangerous, or so they thought. Jack stayed on the bridge a moment longer, staring at the shadows in the empty corridors of the warship. He whispered to himself, "They laughed, but they don't know yet." The ancient human warship drifted silently, waiting, sleeping, and ready. The galaxy did not yet realize what had been found the next morning. The research team returned to the ancient human warship. The alien crew still thought it was harmless, a curiosity with no danger. Only Jack Morrow and Lisa Carter felt the weight of what they were stepping into. The corridors of the ship were quiet, but Jack could feel a faint vibration, like a heartbeat, beneath his boots. "It's alive," Jack whispered, though the aliens did not hear. Lisa looked at him, eyes wide, understanding immediately. She had felt it too. The ship was old, yes, but it was not dead. The team moved carefully, scanning walls and panels with portable devices. Most systems were offline, but small indicators flickered occasionally, almost as if the ship was testing them. The walls still held the marks of battle, deep scratches from metal claws, dents from energy blasts, and scorch marks that spoke of fire long ago. Jack ran his hand along one of the marks. Humans had survived worse. This ship had survived worse. "These corridors don't make sense," Lisa said. "They twist and turn in ways that shouldn't be necessary. It's like the ship was designed to confuse anyone who wasn't human." Jack nodded. Humans build for survival, not for comfort. If someone boards this ship unprepared, they'll get lost. If they fight here unprepared, they'll die. The aliens laughed again, though quietly, thinking Jack was exaggerating. They had not yet realized how subtle human engineering could be. The ship looked old and slow, but that was deliberate. Speed was not always power. Sometimes patience and cunning were stronger. They reached a small chamber, its walls lined with panels and screens. Some flickered weakly, almost dead, but Lisa moved forward, pulling out her tools. She connected a portable power source, and suddenly one of the screens lit up with a pale blue glow. Symbols and numbers appeared, strange to the aliens but familiar to Jack. "These are old tactical logs," Jack explained. "They show past battles. Humans record everything, even when facing impossible odds." The aliens crowded around, confused. "What is it showing?" asked Karn, one of the engineers. "This is useless data," Jack shook his head. "It's not useless. It shows strategy. Humans studied everything they did in battle. They learned from every mistake. That's why this ship survived when others didn't." Lisa tapped a few keys and the screen changed. A diagram appeared, showing corridors, weapon positions, and firing angles. Every room, every hallway had a mark. These were not just marks, they were instructions. "This is insane," Lisa said. "The ship could fight by itself if it needed to. It could survive even if the crew died." The aliens still did not understand. To them, a ship without a crew was just a machine. Jack and Lisa knew better. Humans had made ships to think for themselves, to continue fighting even when everyone aboard was gone. This was one of those ships. They moved deeper into the ship, finding storage rooms with crates of old supplies, weapons that looked simple but were built for durability. Some panels showed damage from energy blasts, but the weapons were still intact. Jack picked up a small, handheld device. It was old, scratched, and worn, but he could see the clever engineering. "Humans didn't waste anything," Jack said. "Every piece was made to last, to work even under fire." Lisa nodded. "Look at this," she said, opening another panel. Inside was a small energy core, still pulsing faintly. "It's like it never stopped. Even after all this time, it's still alive." The aliens looked uneasy. Some muttered that the ship was just lucky. Jack frowned. Luck had nothing to do with it. Humans were not lucky, they were relentless, stubborn, and clever. That was what this ship showed. Suddenly, a soft hum filled the corridors. It was low, almost imperceptible, but it was there. Jack and Lisa froze. The aliens whispered nervously. The ship was responding to their presence. Not aggressively, not yet, but it was aware. "It's sensing us," Jack said. "It knows we're here. It's waiting, but I don't know what for." Lisa studied the panels. "Maybe it wants to see who's worthy," she said. "Humans built things like this. If you're careless, it will punish you. If you respect it, maybe it will let you learn." The aliens laughed nervously. To them, the ship was still just old metal. Jack ignored them. He had seen human ships like this before, ones that could strike long after their creators were gone. The thought made his stomach tighten. They reached a large chamber. It was the ship's main engineering bay. The walls were lined with dormant engines, their metal blackened from past battles. Jack could feel the power still inside them. The ship was full of energy, waiting to be awakened. "This is incredible," Lisa whispered. "The engines are intact. They could still move the ship if we gave them power." Jack nodded slowly. "Humans built for endurance. These engines were made to keep fighting even if everything else failed. That's why this ship lasted so long. That's why it survived battles no one should have survived." The aliens began taking samples, recording data, and scanning everything. They still did not realize the danger. Jack and Lisa worked quietly, knowing the ship could react at any moment. Hours passed, and the team moved from room to room. They found weapons caches, medical supplies, and emergency pods. Every item showed careful planning. Humans had prepared for every possibility, every attack, every disaster. "It's more than a ship," Jack said quietly to Lisa. "It's a lesson." Humans leave messages like this, showing how clever and tough they can be. Lisa nodded. "But it's also a warning. This ship is dangerous. If someone underestimated it, they could die." The aliens laughed again, though less loudly. Some were starting to feel uneasy. Karn muttered about wasting time with old tech. Jack ignored them. He had a feeling that soon the ship would show its true strength. They entered a long hallway lined with small chambers. Each chamber had a hatch and small controls. Jack recognized them immediately. These were escape pods, but more than that, they were tactical stations. Humans had designed them so that even if the crew left the ship, the systems could still fight. "This is amazing," Lisa said. "Humans thought of everything. Even death didn't stop them." Jack smiled faintly. "That's why aliens underestimate us. They see old metal and think it's weak. They don't see the thinking behind it, the planning, the patience." The team continued, finding more logs, more markings, more evidence of battles. Jack explained each one to the aliens, trying to make them understand, but they still laughed. To them, history was boring. Jack and Lisa knew better. Every scratch, every dent, every scorch mark told a story of survival, of stubbornness, of humans refusing to die quietly. As they moved toward the bridge, the ship shivered slightly. It was subtle, almost unnoticeable, but Jack felt it. The hum had grown stronger, deeper. The ship was alive, it was aware, it was testing them. "It's watching," Jack said. "Don't make sudden moves." Lisa nodded, holding her tools tightly. The aliens looked uneasy, though they tried to hide it. The ship had changed something in the air, in the gravity, in the vibration of the metal. It was subtle but unmistakable. They reached the bridge, and Jack pulled up a console. Symbols flickered weakly, almost like the ship was waking from a long sleep. He scanned the logs, piecing together the battles humans had fought. Each one showed clever tactics, impossible odds, and survival against enemies that should have destroyed them. "Humans were never strong," Jack said quietly, "but we were smart, we were stubborn, and we never gave up." Lisa tapped a panel and the lights brightened slightly. The hum grew louder. The ship was responding, not aggressively but with awareness. It was as if it were alive, and it was curious about the intruders. The aliens stepped back, uncertain. The ship was no longer just a relic. It was something more. Jack and Lisa understood immediately. This ship, though ancient and battered, was still capable, still dangerous. still human. "This isn't over," Jack said. "The ship will show us what humans can do eventually. We just have to wait." Lisa nodded. "And when it does, the galaxy will learn a lesson." The team left the bridge for a moment, moving deeper into the corridors. The hum continued, steady like a heartbeat. The ship was alive. It had survived centuries, and it was ready to teach the universe what humans were capable of. The aliens still laughed, still thought it harmless, still called it a relic. Jack and Lisa exchanged a glance, knowing they were the only ones who understood. The ship, silent and ancient, waited. It waited for the right moment. The next day, the research team returned to the ancient human warship. The aliens were still mocking it, calling it useless, but Jack Morrow and Lisa Carter felt tension in the air. Something was stirring inside the ship. The hum from before had grown stronger. It was steady, deep, like a heartbeat that pulsed through the metal. Jack could feel it in his bones. "It's awake," Jack whispered, gripping the rail. Lisa nodded. She had felt it too. The ship was no longer just a relic. It was alive, aware, and waiting. The aliens didn't understand. To them, the ship looked old and slow. They didn't know that patience and cunning were human strengths. They didn't see the quiet power hiding beneath the scratched metal and burnt panels. The research team split into two groups. Jack and Lisa moved toward the bridge, while the aliens began scanning the engine room. As soon as the humans entered the corridor, the ship shifted slightly. Lights flickered along the walls, activating panels that had been dead for centuries. The faint vibration grew stronger. "It's like it's breathing," Lisa whispered. She ran her hands along a control panel, feeling a low hum through her fingers. "Jack, it's ready." Jack nodded. He had been expecting this. Humans had a way of building machines that waited until the right moment to act. The aliens had no idea what they were about to face. Suddenly, the sensors on the research cruiser went wild. Alarms blared as the ship's defensive systems activated. Small energy bursts fired from hidden compartments along the hull. They were harmless, but precise, targeting points near the alien scanners and engines. The aliens panicked. "What's happening?" Karn shouted. "The ship is attacking," Jack stepped forward. "Not attacking, testing. It's showing its strength. It's human." The aliens looked at him, confused. Jack shook his head. "Humans make machines to survive. To fight when no one is watching. It's not angry yet, it's seeing if we are careful." Lisa studied the panels. "The defensive systems are clever. They don't fire randomly. They focus on threats. Every movement is calculated." The aliens backed away uneasily. They had mocked the ship for days, but now they saw something different. Subtle power, hidden strength, a quiet intelligence. Jack and Lisa moved deeper. The ship's corridors seemed to guide them, lights flickering to show safe paths. The hum grew louder, almost like a voice. The ship was alive, but not in the way aliens understood life. It was thinking, it remembered, it had fought. "Humans didn't build this to be pretty," Jack said quietly. "They built it to survive, to win." Lisa nodded. "And even centuries later, it can still fight." At that moment, the alien research cruiser outside fired a scan beam, trying to measure the ship's energy. The beam struck the hull, and instantly, hidden weapons came online. Small turrets popped from panels that had seemed solid, firing energy pulses that stopped the scan beam cold. The aliens screamed and ducked. The ship was defending itself, but with control, not rage. "It's alive," one of the aliens shouted. "It's defending itself." Jack smiled faintly. "It's more than alive, it's human." The team moved toward the bridge, where Jack accessed the main console. Panels lit up at his touch, and he could see the ship's memory cores activating. Images of past battles appeared on the screens. Humans facing fleets far larger than their own, fighting in impossible conditions, surviving when others would have died. The ship remembered every strike, every maneuver, every lesson. "It's a soldier," Jack whispered. "Even now, after centuries, it knows how to fight." Lisa watched the screens, eyes wide. "And it will fight if it has to. Everything humans built was for survival." Outside, an alien scout ship approached, curious about the strange readings. As it got closer, hidden weapons on the human warship fired. They were precise, targeted strikes that disabled the scout's engines without destroying it. The aliens aboard screamed, realizing that this ship, laughed at for so long, was more than a relic. They underestimated it, Lisa said quietly. They always do, Jack nodded. He could feel the ship's readiness. It was alive with purpose. Humans had made it that way. Even alone, even centuries after its crew had vanished, it could fight. The aliens panicked. They tried to retreat, but the ship anticipated their moves. Small energy pulses blocked escape paths, forcing them to change course. The human ship was not chasing them. It was controlling the battlefield subtly and efficiently. "It's smart," Karn muttered, eyes wide with fear. "This shouldn't be possible," Jack looked at him. "You think it's impossible because you don't understand humans. This is exactly what humans do. We survive, we fight, we win." Inside the warship, Lisa tapped a panel, bringing up weapon logs. The ship had hundreds of hidden cannons, energy turrets, and defensive mechanisms. Most were old, designed for short-range combat, but all were functional. The ship had been built to keep fighting, even if the crew died. "It's like it's alive," Lisa said. "It knows what to do." Jack nodded. "It remembers. It's human-made. That's the difference. The aliens don't see it yet, but this ship is dangerous." The aliens outside tried to fire, but every attack was blocked by defensive pulses. The ship moved subtly, shifting its mass to protect vital systems. It was slow, old, but it didn't need speed. It had strategy, patience, human cunning. Jack and Lisa watched, understanding fully. The ship could destroy an enemy fleet if it had to. It was designed for survival at all costs, a machine that had learned from the mistakes of centuries past. "They laughed at it," Jack said quietly. "But they don't laugh anymore," Lisa nodded. "And if we give it more power, they'll regret underestimating humans." Suddenly, the research team heard a loud rumble. The ship shifted dramatically, aligning itself toward the alien fleet. Hidden energy cannons fired, creating a precise strike pattern that disabled several ships without killing their crews. The aliens screamed in terror, realizing the scale of what they had found. "It's a single ship," one alien shouted. "It shouldn't be able to do this alone," Jack smiled faintly. "It's human. One ship, one crew, one purpose, and humans don't lose easily." Inside, the warship systems continued to awaken. Emergency lights flickered, corridors shifted subtly to protect vital systems. Weapon turrets moved into defensive positions automatically. The ship's AI, or what humans had left inside, was fully operational now. It was a ghost from the past, but one that could still fight. Lisa moved beside Jack, whispering, "They don't understand humans. They never do. And that's why this ship survived." Jack nodded. He could feel it too. The ship remembered every human who had served on it. It remembered every battle, every tactic, every sacrifice. Even though centuries had passed, it still carried the essence of humanity's determination. The aliens scrambled, trying to regroup. Their commanders barked orders, but every movement was anticipated. The ship didn't chase them aggressively, it controlled the battlefield with precision. It was teaching them a lesson without unnecessary violence. Jack turned to Lisa. "This is what humans leave behind, not just ships, legacies, warnings, lessons. Even dead, we fight." Lisa nodded. "And now they're learning that lesson." The ancient human warship continued to shift and hum, alive with purpose, ready for anything. The aliens no longer laughed. Fear had replaced their mockery. They had discovered too late that humans were not weak. Humans had survived, fought, and left behind machines that could still command respect, even after centuries. Jack and Lisa watched quietly from the bridge. The ship moved with intelligence, precision, and patience. It was a reminder of what humans could do: survive against impossible odds, fight with cleverness, and leave the universe wondering how one ship could hold so much power. The hum of the ship grew louder, steady, and full of life. The aliens outside began to retreat, understanding that this was not a battle they could win. The human warship had awakened, not just as metal and circuits, but as a testament to human survival and ingenuity. "They laughed," Jack whispered, "and now they understand." Lisa smiled faintly. "But this is only the beginning. The universe hasn't seen what humans can do yet." The ancient warship floated silently in space, alive, aware, and ready. It had survived centuries, remembered every lesson, and was now prepared to teach the galaxy a truth few were ready to accept. Humans were not weak. They never had been, and even a single old ship could change the course of history. And somewhere deep inside, the ship seemed to agree, its hum steady, deep, and full of purpose. It was ready to fight if it had to defend, to survive, and to remind the universe that humans, no matter how small or underestimated, could never be ignored. The ancient human warship floated silently in the dark space near the dead star. The hum of its systems pulsed like a heartbeat. Jack Morrow and Lisa Carter stood on the bridge, watching the aliens outside scramble in fear. The laughter of the past was gone. Now there was only respect and terror. "They don't understand us," Jack said quietly. "And they never do," Lisa shook her head. "But now they're learning." She tapped a console, bringing up energy readings from the ship's systems. Every hidden weapon, every defensive turret, every engine core was alive, ready to act. The warship had awakened fully. The alien commanders tried to organize their fleet, but it was no use. The ship anticipated every move, every evasive maneuver. Energy pulses blocked escape routes, turrets tracked every angle, and automated systems moved as if the ship had a mind of its own. The aliens realized too late that this was no ordinary vessel. "It's a single ship," one alien muttered. "It shouldn't have this much control," Jack smiled faintly. "It's human. One ship, one crew, one mission. That's all it takes." Lisa studied the ship's logs. Centuries of human records showed wars fought against impossible odds, battles won when defeat seemed certain, and survivors who left behind machines built to continue the fight. The warship was one of those machines. It was built to endure, to protect, and to teach. "This isn't just a ship," Lisa said softly. "It's a message. Humans survive, humans fight, and humans don't give up." The aliens outside tried to fire again, but the ship's hidden turrets disabled their weapons with precise energy strikes. No ships were destroyed, but their systems were crippled. The aliens panicked, realizing that they were no longer in control. The warship dictated the pace of the battle, though it had not chosen to destroy anyone yet. It was showing its power, reminding the universe what humans could do. Jack and Lisa moved through the bridge, accessing the tactical panels. The ship's memory cores displayed battle simulations from centuries ago. Humans fighting fleets 10 times their size, escaping traps and surviving strikes that should have destroyed them. The warship had stored every tactic, every maneuver, and every lesson. It had become a teacher, showing the aliens that humans were clever, stubborn, and impossible to predict. "It remembers everything," Jack said. "Every fight, every loss, every victory. That's why it's still alive." Lisa nodded. "It's like the ship itself is human. It has the same determination, the same will to survive." The alien fleet tried to retreat, but the warship anticipated them. Automated pulses forced their ships into safe zones, herding them away from vital points while showing its control. It was not cruel, but deliberate. The message was clear: underestimate humans at your own risk. Jack watched the displays, noticing the subtle patterns in the ship's movements. Every energy pulse, every defensive strike, every shift in position was calculated to minimize destruction while demonstrating power. It was not attacking out of anger, it was teaching. "Humans never start a war they can't finish," Jack said, "and we never stop fighting even when we're gone." Lisa looked at him, eyes wide. "This ship, it's a warning to anyone who thinks humans are weak." Inside the warship, the lights flickered as systems continued to awaken. Panels lit up, showing emergency protocols, weapon alignments, and defensive strategies. The ship's AI, or whatever the humans had left inside, was fully operational. It had become a ghost from the past, a vessel of memory, strategy, and survival. They laughed at it, Jack whispered, and now they see why they shouldn't have. Lisa nodded, and the galaxy will never forget it. The aliens outside began transmitting messages back to their home worlds. Reports were frantic, filled with fear and disbelief. A single, ancient human ship had disabled an entire fleet without destroying a ship outright. They realized the humans were not extinct, not weak, and far more dangerous than anyone had thought. They underestimated humans, Karn said, his voice trembling. They always do, Jack nodded, and that's why we survive. As the day passed, the warship moved subtly, shifting its position to show defensive readiness. Every system was monitored, every movement calculated. It did not attack unless necessary. It was a sentinel, a reminder of humanity's stubbornness, intelligence, and determination. Lisa studied the records of old human battles again. "Look at this," she said. "Humans built these ships to survive even if the crew died. The machines could continue the fight without anyone aboard." Jack smiled. "And that's exactly what this ship is doing now. It's teaching a lesson without violence. It's showing what humans are capable of." Outside, the alien fleet attempted to retreat further. Some ships tried to flee toward distant systems, but every move was anticipated. The warship nudged them away gently, ensuring no damage was done while showing control. The message was clear: do not underestimate humans. "They'll tell the story," Jack said, "and every alien out there will remember what humans can do." Lisa nodded. "Even though the ship is centuries old, it's still human, still strong, still dangerous." The research team moved through the corridors again, documenting everything. Every panel, every weapon, every engine core was noted. The ship systems were vast, clever, and durable. Humans had built it to fight impossible battles, survive overwhelming odds, and leave a legacy that could endure centuries. "They didn't just fight," Jack said. "They prepared for the universe to forget them, and they made sure we'd leave reminders, lessons, warnings." Lisa tapped a console, bringing up the last human message stored deep in the ship. It was a simple record, yet powerful. Humans were survivors. Humans built machines to endure, fight, and protect. Even if their crews were gone, their legacy remained. Jack read it aloud quietly. "We build to survive. We fight to endure. We leave lessons behind so that those who forget us will remember. Humanity does not yield, and humanity does not die quietly." The aliens outside realized the meaning too late. The ship had demonstrated restraint, skill, and intelligence. It had shown them that humans were not extinct, not weak, and not to be mocked. The galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. "It's a human-made," one alien whispered, voice trembling. "All of it's humans," Jack nodded slowly. "And that's why it's dangerous, not because of weapons, but because of thought, patience, and stubbornness. Humans survive when no one else can." Lisa looked at the bridge consoles, at the maps of old battles, at the tactical diagrams and emergency plans. Every system here was built for survival. Every weapon, every shield, every engine, all designed to endure. Centuries later, it's still alive, still ready, still human. The alien fleet began retreating completely. They transmitted messages warning other species, describing the ancient human warship, the power it had, and the lesson it taught. One ship alone had changed the perception of an entire sector. Jack and Lisa remained on the bridge, watching the hum of the ship. It was steady, deep, alive. The warship had done its job. It had awakened, shown its strength, and reminded the universe that humans were survivors. "They laughed," Jack said softly. "And now they will never forget." Lisa smiled faintly. "Even centuries later, humans leave their mark. This ship, it's more than metal. It's a warning, a reminder, A lesson. The warship shifted gently, aligning itself near the dead star. Systems powered down slowly, returning to a quiet hum. The ship had completed its demonstration. The aliens were gone, but the message remained. Humans were clever, stubborn, and impossible to underestimate. Even one old warship could change the universe's view of humanity forever. Jack and Lisa prepared to leave. They had documented everything, recorded every system, and understood fully what the aliens had seen. The warship remained behind, silent, steady, alive. It had fulfilled its purpose, to remind the galaxy what humans were capable of. "They'll remember now," Jack said. "And next time they won't laugh," Lisa nodded. "And the ship will still be here waiting. A sentinel, a teacher, a reminder that humans survive, fight, and endure." The ancient warship floated quietly among the stars. It was battered, scarred, and centuries old, yet full of life, thought, and purpose. Humans had built it to survive impossible odds, to fight, and to leave a legacy. It had done all of that and more. Jack and Lisa took one last look before leaving. The hum of the ship followed them as they floated back to their cruiser. They both knew this was only the beginning. The universe had learned the truth. Humans were not weak. Humans were survivors. Humans, even long gone, could still teach, warn, and inspire fear and respect. The warship remained in silent orbit, a monument to human ingenuity and resilience. It had awakened, it had taught, and it would endure, waiting for the next time the galaxy needed to remember what humanity could do. And somewhere deep inside, the ship seemed to pulse in agreement, alive, aware, and fully human. The universe had learned its lesson. Humans were not to be underestimated. The ancient warship was laughed at, until aliens discovered it was human-made.